There is a life-changing power in self-reflection. Let's swiftly explore it. Did you know I failed geometry in high school? In my very first semester, the first year of ninth grade, many years ago, I was enrolled in geometry. Now we're all familiar with that class, the course of rectangles and circles and parallelograms with formulas and stuff like that. I failed. I got the big chubby red letter F, and I had to retake the class in the form of summer school and later on night school, but that's a story for another time. When I failed, when I discovered I had to retake it, I was so quickly swallowed with all of these negative emotions. I was self-doubting myself, I was insulting myself, I kept criticizing myself very unfairly, saying all of these negative bad things. I was being too hard on myself. I was so fixated on the time in knowing I had to not only retake the class, but I was going to be stuck in the same math class for another semester. I wasted time, I wasted all of this effort, if I did put in any efforts. I was trapping myself in a circle of continuous negative emotions. Now it stayed like that for a while, but it wasn't until many weeks later when I finally spared a moment of my life, a moment of my time towards self-reflection. It's nothing complicated, it's nothing special. I simply dedicated a few minutes of my time to examine or self-reflect. How did I fail geometry back then? What caused me to get a blaring red letter F? Well, it's relatively simple. I didn't put in the work. When it came with homework that came after every day, I didn't really do it properly. It was more of I just put whatever I thought was correct, writing the bare minimum, not showing my work, as you may have heard in all of the math classes. And when it came with quizzes and tests, not only did I just put the bare minimum, but I wasn't really interested in showing why I got the answers correct. So most of the time, because I only wrote the answer, it was very easy for someone to misunderstand, whether it's the substitute teacher, the main teacher, or a teacher's aide, to come to the conclusion that I somehow flaked it. That I just wrote the answer, I memorized the answer. That kind of thing does happen more than you would think. And when it came to being in class, paying attention in class, I didn't really pay attention. I was more fixated on the clock that was stapled on the wall, wondering when was class going to end, so I could get out and just immerse in my whatever the heck I did back then as an immature high school student. Now, after doing the self-reflection, sure, it may have been a slow process, but it was one good step in the right direction that allowed me to re-examine my habits, re-examine what I did, my actions, my choices, my logical reasoning for that time, to know how did I fail, so this kind of thing would not have to happen again. So if I was going to pass, hey, I would at least pass. That's the least I can do since, well, I was a student back then, right? Now, that being said, it's very easy to overlook how self-reflection is an amazingly useful, powerful tool that allows us to gain insight, to thoroughly understand our inner feelings and thoughts that fuel our behaviors. We should consider this a valuable need. Just knowing that we can allocate precious time for us to re-examine our strengths, our weaknesses, our pros, our cons, our specialties, and general aspects. It's the same thing as lining up a pie chart. You're just arranging the categories and pieces based off what works for you, your capabilities and aspects. One person who can understand you the best is you, and you alone. There is no other way around it. No sugarcoating, no shortcuts. Sometimes the best approach is about as simple as it can get. No one can tell you how to live your life. That is a decision that you need to make alone by following your will with careful, calculated, calm choices. So with what I just said about self-reflection, you simply need to reflect on what is important to you. You have to factor your needs and your wants, or rather, you require space to self-reflect or think back then on some of your experiences, regardless of the type, and allow it to lead into more authentic actions. As I just said, since I spent a moment to self-reflect on how exactly did I fail geometry, it just boils down to the fact I did not apply myself. That's a common saying from the book series The Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And this kind of thing applied to a lot of things in life. It's very relatable, it's very simple, but it's all the same nonetheless. We shouldn't neglect the truths, even if they are uncomfortable. It's always best to just be honest, be true, be authentic, and embrace the insides of ourselves, which will allow us to make more fair, rational, and right choices that will lead us into better paths in the future.